Good afternoon. This is Kevin Kirkpatrick from the Avery Professional Group. I have been posting out on my social media lately about the tools and such that I use to recruit physicians, predominantly in Canada and the US. We do a little bit of recruiting in the UK for physicians that want to come to Canada. The uh, the big challenge, obviously, is getting the attention of physicians. They're inundated by recruiters every day. They're busy as it is, and their information is thrown at them like a tsunami every day. So, what I often do is there's uh, two, three aspects, we'll call it, to allow for us to reach out to them. And the first is obviously finding their contact information and finding their names. There, I use multiple tools, LinkedIn scrapers, as well as uh, purchasing lists through organizations that provide the data to target physicians and stuff for advertising and marketing and stuff like that. There's several of them. Some are Doximity, Heartbeat.ai. Um, there are a couple other ones you can buy through Practice Match and stuff like that. So then you've got the names of the physicians. Then you have to use information to get them. So that's where I use Full, Enrich, SalesQL, and Lucia. So I have three different contact info finders. It's nice to run all of them just to see um, what makes sense and what gets the right information. And some are better at work information because what they do is they take their employer's website and try multiple syntax for the username. So S Kirkpatrick, K Kirkpatrick at Avery Professional Group, Kevin Kirkpatrick at Avery Professional Group until they get the right one and stuff like that. But sometimes with physicians, they don't have work email addresses. So you're hoping to find a Gmail account or something potentially from their alma mater where they went to school. So it's looking for personal email addresses. So some tools are better than others for that. So that's why I use multiples. The next part is crafting a message, right? And the biggest challenge is understanding what's going to resonate with the physician and why somebody would actually respond to your message. So, is it the job that's enticing? Is it the compensation that's enticing? Is it the location that's enticing? Is it all three? So, it comes down to understanding your clients or your organization if you work in house and understanding why it is that somebody would want to come to that role and do that. And sometimes we try and I have what I call the four quadrants. One of them is the compensation aspect. One is the resources, because sometimes a physician will change organizations because they want access to greater resources, right? Maybe they're a urologist and need a Da Vinci robot because they've done a fellowship in that, and they want to do robotic surgery. Or maybe they want access to a patient population that's underserved where they are. So, I mean, there's different aspects from the resources. Compensation's pretty self-explanatory, right? If you're not competitive with what you pay, you're not going to entice anybody there. The other aspects are career development, right? We can't assume a physician is going to want to be clinical and do the same clinical procedures their entire careers. Do they want to teach? Do they want to become a chief medical officer or a chief of surgery or a chief of emerge or whatever it might be? So, providing the expertise and guidance to them to make those steps. Whether it's go do a master's of health in administration or do a master's of business administration or additional fellowship training. So it's really helping be a career coach at the same time. The other aspects I think are communication and engagement. So how you communicate with the physicians so that they're aware of corporate goals and different aspects of it, right? And why the organization's making the decisions they do. Everybody wants to feel involved in the organization they work with, and often because physicians are somewhat self-driven, we sometimes forget to include them in the corporate communication. Now, it can't be too much, and it has to be tailored to them specifically, right? So once we look at those four things and how our email is going to address one, two, three, or all four of them, maybe, then we can look at what tools we can use to send multiple messages. I've found over the last 16 years that it often takes two to three, sometimes three to four emails before a physician response, and sometimes it's over months because it didn't resonate before, but now it does. Other times, it's literally just having to stand out amongst the 10 recruiters that called them that day, right? So, what I try and do is create a sequence where each email gives successive information so that by the time they get the fourth email, they should feel like they know all about the job and all of the different aspects of why it's enticing, and hopefully at that by that point they've responded. Obviously, you always let physicians and people opt out of their messaging, and you just try and start conversations, right? So the goal is sincerity, honest authenticity, just really trying to share information, and then you hope if you can build a relationship with them that if they're not interested, maybe they forward your email to someone else, or ideally they give you the names of someone else that you can reach out to as well, right? So then you've gotten them on the phone, you have a conversation. It has to be about them. It has to be about aligning their goals with your clients, and it has to be about understanding them. So interviews are often, a little bit longer than the norm, and will be about kind of their goal structure. And you need to understand your client well enough to answer those questions. Otherwise, you may lose engagement. Right. Then we look at the interview process. You want them to talk to a leader relatively quickly so that they can understand if the job is, and a clinician, right? Because doctors recruit doctors. So you want them to talk to someone they can understand the job and understand what it's going to be like and start picturing themselves in that role. And then you're going to want to do your corporate interview and stuff like that. Have them meet the team, have them meet their colleagues, and things of that nature. I often also include things, what I call a site visit, where you encourage them to examine the area that they're going to live, whether they meet with a realtor, they meet with schools, and all of the different aspects. So it comes down to ensuring that you remove the barriers for them to make the decision. So if they've got children, you want to know, where their children can go to school. If their spouse works in a specific field, you're going to want to know that as well, right? So it's really a white glove concierge type of service to ensure that they're moving to the right situation. Then it comes down to managing the communication between the client and the phys- and the candidate, ensuring that you're setting both parties' expectations through the process, and go from there. And then the best part about all of this is if they are successful, follow up and engagement. Remain in contact with them. I try and talk to physicians I place once a month, just to check in. Often, what happens is they'll refer your friends, their friends, sorry, if you've done a good job. So realistically, white glove service, and look at those tools. And I use tools like Crelate, um, to is as my applicant tracking system to manage my contacts and to give me reminders on when I need to follow up with people. So creating a system that flows through the process of recruiting and takes care of my reminders through the process. So big thing is going to come down to content and making sure that you're an expert in your space. I predominantly recruit in the hospital and clinic space, and done so in both Canada and the U.S. So we try and have duplication so that you're talking to as many of the same types of physicians as possible every day to ensure that you're building a deep network. So either way, just thought I would put out a little video today as a follow-up to my LinkedIn post and newsletter today. Always happy to talk physician recruitment to anybody. So feel free to give me a call. Take care.